Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more excited than She-Hulk litigating Daredevil.
Welcome to episode number 27. I'm your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friend, Jason Summer. In this episode, we are actually talking about everything across the nerdy spectrum of geeky things. Dwayne Johnson teasing Henry Cavill, Superman and Black Adam, Super Mario Brothers movie trailer reactions, CD Projekt Red announcing a bunch of new video games, Elon Musk officially agreeing to buy Twitter for tons of money, new Indiana Jones action figures, and more. And in the second half of the episode, we're changing things up. We'll still be having our spoiler discussion about Werewolf by Night, She-Hulk episode 8, and House of the Dragon episode 7, but the conversation may sound a little bit different. Stay tuned to find out how.
And breathe.
And please share the show with everybody. And please go follow us on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Eat Sleep Nerd. Please go follow us.
Right, and we have our recordings on YouTube's and the Spotify's,
the old YouTube,
and the podcasties.
Yes, you can find us at all the places except for TikTok and Facebook, because I'm not hip enough for that anymore. So
no,
please go follow us and share us.
I am actually going to do a TikTok on behalf of Eat Sleep Nerd.
Are you?
Like most of TikTok, it will involve me being in my underwear.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you guys want to pitch in with social media, that's totally cool. But I think you had me at underwear. I don't. You know what? Let's give it a try.
No, I mean that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I am willing to take this hit for the group.
Well, it might just work. Let's give it a try. So, people, please keep a lookout for Eat Sleep Nerd and Josh in Underwear on TikTok.
You're welcome.
So sorry.
We're so sorry. All right, let's keep this train moving. What have you guys been geeking out on before we get into the meat of the show?
Meat and potatoes of the show. I've been playing more of the Outer Worlds, and the more and more I play it, I'm more and more convinced it is a love song to Firefly.
I looked into it a little bit, and I don't know if it's going to be my style of game. So I will not be playing it. I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It sounds interesting though.
There's a bazillion games out there. It's not going to be for everybody, but there are wonderful references to pop sci-fi culture in the game. One of the characters, every time that she takes out an enemy, she says, "To shreds, you say," which is a quote from when Futurama first came back on the air, and the professor was on the phone talking about the execs at Fox, that they were, ripped to shreds. To shreds, you say. And then in the first episode of Firefly, there's a guy that's wearing a top hat that he gets sniped. Yeah. Okay. So there's actually a top hat head armor called Nice Hat. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a good time playing it. I'm loving this game.
What about you, Josh?
I am very nearly done with my Enterprise model from Strange New World.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm going to use the light kit that goes inside it, just because the people who made the light kit, I think I've said this before, clearly did not talk to the people who made the model.
Oh, very often they do not. They just do it themselves. Yeah.
There's literally not enough space inside the model to run the wiring through it. So this one may get put together as is. I still have to put the decals on it. I'm very excited about it. I've ordered another model, the Enterprise D from the next generation.
Nice.
I'm very excited to put that one together. And then I found a guy online. This is not an official model, but he will sell you the 3D file to print off using a 3D printer, which would give me an excuse to buy a 3D printer. Print off a 2-scale model of Deep Space Nine.
Ooh.
So, because you can adjust the scale yourself. So if I did it 2-scale with my existing Enterprise D, then this would be about 6 feet wide.
Jesus.
I think I'm going to do it. So
that's huge.
That's
where are you going to put it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's future Josh's
You
problem.
don't need a bedroom, right?
Know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean that would be a bedroom ornamentation,
Right.
And it's a built-in pickup line. Hey, girl, you want to see? Yeah. You want to see my Deep Space Nine?
I guess I want to be stationed at Deep Space 2.
Yeah, like oh, that's hurtful.
I didn't say you were. I said it was me.
So this week, so the first thing is I started building officially my Lego skyscrapers, the 25,000 pieces worth of Lego that I bought.
Yeah.
So I finally started building my skyscrapers. So I designed them inside of a 3D program, so you can actually pull a full list of the entire catalog of Lego pieces into 3D, so you can actually build your models before you actually buy the pieces. And so I did that, but as I'm building them, I'm realizing that the buildings are going to be really freaking huge, which is awesome, but they're going to take forever to do. Like, I have built one floor of a 17-floor building, and the one floor by itself is already half the size of the buildings already in my city. So it's going to be pretty huge. It's actually going to be the second tallest one. That's actually going to be a bigger one. So going to be gigantic skyscrapers, which is cool, but it's going to probably take several months.
I see a lot of frustration in your future.
Oh, yeah. Sorting the parts alone was a source of frustration. There were so many pieces. And
I met, yes. You showed pictures. Oh, my gosh.
So few places to put them. But yes, that was just, yeah. But I also started playing a new series of video games, and new to me, not new to everybody else. The Metro games. I don't know if you guys ever played these. So it was the first one came out in 2010. It was Metro 2033. And the cool thing about them is that they're one of the few video games that are actually based on a novel. And yes, there are like Tom Clancy games and stuff that were loosely based on The Witcher. But there are very few video games actually based directly from novels. And Metro 2033 is like a direct adaptation of the novel that came out in 2002 of the same name. But the idea is that it's post-apocalyptic, and survivors of this nuclear war take refuge in the metro tunnels underneath Russia. And it's a first-person shooter series. So you end up shooting humans and mutants and a bunch of cool stuff. It's a little suspenseful. I'm still playing the first game, so I'm not sure how the series evolves. I'm not sure it's entirely my thing, but I do like the way that even 12 years ago, it was doing a great job of telling the story that was portrayed inside the novels and everything. Like, it actually takes some things directly from the novels, like the way between each mission, it actually reads entire paragraphs directly from the novels, and the narrator is actually narrating the book, essentially.
You know, I've never heard of that series before. I've never heard of that.
I think you might like it. It is a first-person shooter, though, so maybe not, but it is a very story-driven game.
Yeah, I'm all about the story-driven games.
I always thought of it as gritty Fallout.
It feels exactly like that. Yeah.
God, I'd consider Fallout gritty to start with. I can't imagine what a gritty Fallout would be.
No, Fallout's tongue-in-cheek.
It's not gritty, it's grutty.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, let's keep this train on moving. So some programming
crazy
notes.
Train. Yes.
On
do the programming. Make the notes of the program.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right, on next week's episode, we will be wrapping up and reviewing the full seasons of She-Hulk and the Rings of Power, and continuing our discussion of House of the Dragon as it moves into the final third of its season, and we'll be getting back into Star Wars Andor. And 2 weeks from now, we will be reviewing Black Adam for a very specific reason, which we will be talking about when we get into our news section. But yes, lots of fun things coming up. Our shows that we've been reviewing and discussing are starting to come to a close, and so we will have some breathing room again. High five. But yeah, that's what's coming up. You guys ready to get into the nerdy news?
Yes. Hit it.
Engage.
All right, gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about across the entire spectrum of nerdy things. We're going to be talking about DC movies. We're going to be talking about comic books. We're going to be talking about video game movies and CD Projekt Red announcing new video games and technology and action figures, a bunch of stuff. But we're going to start with our favorite segment.
Yay!
The DC dumpster fire. All right, so we have 2 DC dumpster fire things to talk about, and honestly, they're not really dumpster fiery things. They're actually very positive stories.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is an update on the Flash movie. So the first thing is that it's now picture locked, which means the final cut of the film is ready to go, and so we imagine new trailers will be coming off this movie probably after Black Adam hits theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe with Black Adam.
I was just thinking that maybe with Black Adam, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
It's where I would put a trailer.
It's a good place for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bigger news, though, is that Ezra Miller has somehow been coming back to do pickup shots at the Warner Brothers lot for the standalone Flash movie. And I was talking with Josh about this, and I'm very confused about how that's possible, because aren't they wanted by the police for several crimes? Like, how are they allowed to show up on the Warner Brothers lot? Do they have warrants on their head?
Well, I mean, if it's a state warrant,
as long as you're not in
California
state.
have extradition rules or laws, or
I don't know. From what I've seen, California is mostly about preventing you from going to other states. So so much of it has been conjecture, and I know a lot of the time it was just we want to talk to Ezra for questioning.
Yeah,
it may also just have been as simple as Warner Brothers called some people and said, "Look, we've got like $250 million invested in this. I need the dude for like 3 days."
Yeah, right.
After that, all bets are off.
The police chief can have a cameo in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So Miller and their agent met with Warner Brothers all the way back in August, and they confirmed that they had a very positive meeting about the future of the upcoming DC film. And apparently there were no incidents while they came back to do these pickup shots. So all things are good, seemingly behind the scenes. But anyway, on the same movie topic, this is coming from one of my reliable leakers.
Is this the thing now?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
We're going in order. Can you...
Sorry, I guess I should look at the agenda.
Oh my God.
So one of my reliable sources, who has gotten things correct all the time, is confirming that Michael Keaton is still the new Batman for the DCEU at the end of The Flash. We do know that Ben Affleck has been filming stuff for Aquaman 2. So it seems like despite that change, Keaton's still in going forward.
I'm glad. Of course, you guys know that.
I know you are, and that's fine. Yeah. And I'm happy for your happiness.
Well, that makes you a good friend, Josh.
But Batfleck for life.
Yeah.
So
again, he's a great Batman.
Yeah, like at this point though, I've said it before, I'll say it. Like at this point, when we go see The Flash, if Pattinson is Batman at the end of this, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think they've just filmed everything with everyone, and they're going to figure it out in post.
Right. Well, if you recall in the trailer, they were in the Batcave. It looked like there were 4 or 5 different versions of the Flash. So there's certainly a multiverse involved.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could be Michael Keaton could be Earth whatever's Batman, and then Ben Affleck could be Earth whatever's Batman.
It's Earth 89.
I love that you know that.
Yeah, it's Earth. It's Earth.
Well, it makes sense because Batman came out in 1989.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
Yeah, as per the Crisis on Infinite Earths in the CW's crossover event titled the same, we did see that the Keaton verse is Earth 89.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Joshua was right.
All right, so that's the update on The Flash. All good things, but we'll see how it turns out when it comes out next year. Moving into the thing that Jason has been begging us to talk about, apparently.
Yes. And I would like to recall or point out, I have been on this train for several weeks now, and I've been like, it's going to happen, and here we are.
Yes, so we're going to say this is, yet again, all unconfirmed. It's all been teases, but the teases are obviously leading to something, but it does seem like Jason might be right. Dwayne The Rock Johnson has been publicly teasing that Superman, specifically Henry Cavill's Superman, will appear in Black Adam. We're not sure what capacity yet, but I do want to play this little clip that he actually posted to his Instagram account. So this is a very short clip from his Instagram post.
I just saw the movie again last night. I can't wait for you guys to see Black Adam. He is the most powerful. Here's the third act. He is the most powerful and unstoppable force on this planet. On this planet.
He's having fun.
Yeah, so he obviously I'll share this in the show notes. But he's in his gym listening to the theme song of Black Adam. He's hyping it up. But he's talking about how there's someone more powerful on another planet, and he gives a little wink to the camera. So obviously you can't hear that, but he visually does give a wink to the camera.
I can hear it when The Rock winks.
And he actually repeated this similar thing in an interview recently with Cinema Blend, where he says Black Adam is the most powerful being on this planet, but not the most powerful being elsewhere
in the universe.
So this is very heavily teasing Superman being in Black Adam. And so some leakers have come out, same reliable sources that I go to. I'll be linking to them in the show notes. They don't want to step on anyone's toes by making these scoops. But one of them is saying Henry Cavill fans are going to be very happy moving forward with DC movies. It seems like the bridge between WB and Cavill has been crossed, and it's not just a Black Adam scene. And they went on to say, and yes, I have heard you can thank The Rock for this. He was insistent that the two sides come together. So it kind of seems like Dwayne Johnson, if all this pans out, is trying to save the DC universe and give us what we want.
Well, yeah, he just got into it. Like you sign up for a superhero with the understanding of you're getting into a franchise. The last thing he wants is for the franchise to fall apart before he even gets going.
Yeah. Right. So, and I found a supporting article for that, and I sent it to you guys earlier this week from the Direct, saying the same thing, that Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder, WB, they're all patching things up, and we may be moving forward with the Snyderverse. So
I don't know. I don't think I'd go that far, because none of these sources have said anything about Zack Snyder yet.
No, but what you do see is you see a lot of these DC movies coming out where they still have the same characters played by the same actors.
Yeah.
And those are the current Justice League actors and personnel. Just,
So I do want to give a call back to Comic-Con this past July in San Diego, where Dwayne Johnson took the stage to talk about Black Adam.
Same thing.
And someone asked him in a fight who would win, Superman or Black Adam. And he essentially said it would depend on who was playing Superman. And the crowd just booed him so loud. No one liked that answer. And I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of what made him go to Warner Brothers and be like, guys, I'm not going to get booed. We have to fix this. Let's get Henry Cavill back.
And everybody's like, who boos The Rock? Nobody boos The Rock.
Yeah.
He's such, we can't let this happen again, boys. Let's get Henry Cavill back.
And I'm going to take these rumors and speculation one step further. I think actually, this is kind of what you were talking about. This actually might be a separate article though, Jason, from the direct.com, which the Direct, for those that don't know, it's hit or miss whether or not their reports are reliable. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. So this, take this with a grain of salt. But there's one article saying that Dwayne Johnson has been negotiating the sequel to Man of Steel with Henry Cavill coming back. So if this whole thing pans out where Dwayne Johnson's actually getting Henry Cavill back as Superman and Black Adam, maybe this pans out where we actually get a Man of Steel too.
I would like that very much. Thank you, Mr. Rock.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. The Rock, sir. No, I mean, again, it's I'm Henry Cavill. I know that everybody and their mom wants me to come back. I'm not going to agree to just do one cameo in one movie. If I'm coming back, I want my sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if I'm coming back, you have to make it worth it for me to come back.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the fans have been pretty vocal, and it is not an unreasonable request in this environment. Yeah.
The person who's already playing Superman, we would very much like to continue.
Exactly. Yeah. And who does it well? I mean, the movies may have had a little bit to be desired, but I say that loving the movies, but even I'm aware that they're not perfect. But
okay, well, you can
Henry
just get off this
Cavill's-
podcast.
Henry Cavill's like, I mean, he was Superman. Like, he was Superman. I mean,
Yeah.
for
He
me,
is.
almost as much as Christopher Reeve. Almost.
So
Whoa.
one thing that came out about these leaks is that the cameo that he seemingly will have in Black Adam, it will be using the John Williams theme instead of the Zack Snyder theme.
So, no, I mean, like, you guys know that I love John Williams. I've said before, he literally scored my childhood. So this is no beef against Johnny. Johnny is amazing. And his Superman score was amazing. But that's not Henry Cavill's Superman score.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, like just being like perfect transparency, I don't even think it would bother me this much, except that for the Justice League, they insisted on using the John Williams music, and Danny Elfman insisted on using his Batman music and everything like that. So now I have this permanent negative connotation about this music being used with this character. And it just, to me, further reiterates that they are sticking to their guns and saying that's the official movie, even though they could easily say that the Snyder cut is the definitive version and it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Like everyone is in agreement that it is the superior version, whether or not you like the Zack Snyder universe or not. Everyone agrees that the Justice League was kind of a dumpster fire.
I think they're just bringing the music back to bring the music back.
Yeah, no, I'm just explaining. Explaining my negative reaction.
No,
to
I
it.
get it. I hear you.
Yeah,
and
that is the dark alleyway I never want to walk down
Right.
again.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Listen, we'll be there for you. We can
It's
walk
fine.
down there with you.
It's fine. I'm just saying.
All right. Let's keep it going. That's all the news we have about Superman and Black Adam and the Flash.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right, so moving from that, let's go into this next story, the Super Mario Brothers trailer.
Talk about
So-
a dumpster fire.
Oh, wow. You
I-
have strong feelings.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, there's actually only one specific thing that I want to talk about, but yeah, I thought the
Okay.
trailer by itself, it looks like a great movie. I thought. Looks fun. Looks like Mario.
Jason prefers the Bob Hoskins masterpiece.
No, Jason does not.
That was,
Which was also a dumpster fire.
John Leguizamo,
Right, yeah. Let's see. And who? Koopa.
Hobo with a Shotgun. He was in Hobo with a Shotgun.
Is that the name of the movie?
Yes, it was an amazing movie. Guess what it was about?
Let me guess. Hang on. It's a fairy tale
Kind of.
about a moose with wings.
Close.
Is it about a transient who carries a weapon?
Yes.
Oh,
You'll never guess which kind.
I want to say AK-47, but I'm going to say maybe a shotgun.
It is. It is.
Sawn
See, this is how
it's like
this is
full,
how I
full
Oh,
bore.
I'm out. All right, so
Anywho.
the Super Mario Brothers movie, it's coming out next year. It's animated. Chris Pratt is voicing Mario. We got Charlie Day voicing Luigi, Jack Black voicing Bowser, Anya Taylor-Joy voicing Princess Peach. So a star-studded cast of voice actors. And the trailer is up now. I'll go share it in the show notes. I haven't seen it yet. Looks like a fun time. It looks like Mario. But there's one thing that is kind of rubbing me the wrong way. And it seems to be what's rubbing the entire internet the wrong way. It's Chris Pratt. Not because, in my opinion, because I don't like Chris. I love Chris Pratt. I love everything he does. And I thought he was a great voice for the Lego movie. And I thought he was, anytime he does stuff, I love his stuff.
Okay.
And he promised that the Mario voice we were going to get in this movie was going to be unlike anything we've ever heard. And I hear this trailer and the internet agrees. It's just Chris Pratt's voice. Like, it's really nothing special. And not only does it not sound like an Italian accent, it just doesn't sound like anything other than Chris Pratt. So I'm going to play this little clip here because the French dub version of this trailer and this movie went viral because whoever they got for the French dub of this movie kind of sounds like Mario. And it's already a far superior cut of this movie. So I'm going to play this clip. It actually compares the two. And it's a really quick clip. So it's going to cut into the Chris Pratt portion of the trailer. And then there'll be a little silence. Then it'll cut into the French dub version of this trailer.
Okay.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come! Royaume Champignon, nous voilà!
That is so much better.
So Chris Pratt put a little something on his voice, but it's still very much just Chris Pratt. But yeah, the French version kind of just sounds like Mario.
See, I didn't really even hear any tweaking to Chris Pratt's voice. But this doesn't bother me because I feel like if you hire Chris Pratt, you're just kind of expecting him to sound like Chris Pratt. So like I wasn't expecting anything different.
And honestly, I wasn't either. But this kind of goes back to, yet again, the same thing that I complained about with the DC League of Super Pets movie, where Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart just did not work for me because it just sounded like Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, and that's all I could hear.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really fit the characters. And for this, yet again, I love Chris Pratt. I've loved his other voice work, but for this character, for Mario, doesn't really make sense at all. Like it seems like they just got a big name actor to put on this movie so they could sell tickets. But it doesn't actually work in the context of who this character is.
So I feel like this happens, I don't know, like every 10 years or so. But it always seems to come up where people kind of point out that it doesn't make sense to get celebrities to do voice acting. And like the go-to example is always that Pocahontas, like the original Disney Pocahontas, barely broke even at the box office because they had to pay Mel Gibson so much to be the voice.
I forgot Mel Gibson was in that movie.
Right? And you don't even remember that it was Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing. I think we're about at that point in the cycle again, where it's been like 10-ish years. So now people are going to be like, why are we paying extra money for a celebrity when it's just their voice? Like, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, were people going to go see the Mario movie because it was Chris Pratt? Like, was that really going to happen?
No.
I'm still trying to figure out how Mel Gibson voiced Pocahontas. I'm kidding.
But
there are times that it makes sense. Like even Chris Pratt, like obviously he did the Lego movie and it was awesome. It actually kickstarted his like A-list actor career. But also he went on to voice one of the brothers in Pixar's Onward. And honestly, I thought that was a good fit for him. Like it was a good match. He played opposite of Tom Holland voicing the other brother. And they were a good match. Like that was a good place, a good movie for A-list actors to actually voice. But for this, where the voice of the A-list actor doesn't line up at all, why are you doing it? And like it even goes back to the original Aladdin movie. They got Robin Williams to voice Genie, and that was great because Robin Williams is so great at doing voice work. He makes it his own character. But it sounds like in this Super Mario Brothers movie, Chris Pratt's just being Chris Pratt. He's not doing anything special with the voice.
I generally have had an issue with prominent actors and actresses coming in and taking over voice acting roles.
Yeah.
And this is another good example of where the actual voice actor who's been voicing Mario for as long as he's been talking, Charles Martinet, Martinet.
Yeah.
Why they didn't use him is just beyond me.
It literally
just
makes
use
no sense.
the guy. It's like not using Kevin Conroy to do Batman
when you're doing an
Batman
animated
movie.
Batman movie. Yeah,
right, exactly. It's like, why would you do that
when the voice of the character by itself is iconic?
Yeah,
why use anybody else if that original voice actor is still available?
Like even Michael Bay knew that he had to get Peter Cullen in for Transformers.
Yeah,
you have to have Peter Cullen. I mean, as Optimus Prime. So in any case, you had all these voice actors that made their living as voice actors, and now Hollywood loves to throw in the celebrity star-studded cast, and it's okay. I mean, Chris Pratt and Tom Holland were good voices for Onward, but I'm pretty certain you could have found somebody sounded just as good.
What are the ugly actors supposed to do?
I mean, one of my little pipe dreams is to maybe try my hand at voice acting.
Yeah,
and more I see, these guys get the parts, the celebrities. I'm like, Yeah, my dream's going away. Arr. I don't know why I went pirate, but I did. On that note, anyway.
Yeah, so I'll be watching this movie regardless. Like,
Well, I mean, yeah.
that was a huge discussion about this one little takeaway from this trailer, but I think it's still going to be a good movie. But yeah, it is just Chris Pratt. Love you, but why are you doing this movie? All right, moving into our next topic. CD Projekt Red, the developer behind games such as The Witcher and most recently Cyberpunk, has announced a plethora of new games, including 3 new Witcher games, a Cyberpunk sequel, 1 new untitled IP, plus 2 standalone Witcher games, one which will be a multiplayer game, and one that they are working with a third-party studio that is a whole Witcher game all by itself. So let's start with this trilogy of new Witcher games. So we previously knew that they were working on the next game, codenamed Polaris, but we learned recently that this game is at least 3 years away. But once that game drops, it will actually lead to 2 more games that will be spread out over the course of a 6-year period. So Josh, huge Witcher fan, do you have any takeaways from this?
I'm very excited.
All right.
No, so we I am excited. They have said that it will not be Geralt, which makes sense. His story wrapped up, and that's fine. There's a lot of conjecture about who the lead character could be, if it's even anyone we've ever met before. A lot of people are putting their bets on it being Ciri, which would be fine. Like, I'll play that game. But if she doesn't undergo the trial of the grasses and actually become a Witcher, then it's kind of a misleading nomer for the game. But what I find most exciting, and I think this is probably due to their switch to Unreal 5, is that the sequels will come out within 6 years of the original release. So basically, first game 3 years later, second game 3 years later, third game. That's actually a really fast turnaround time for a AAA title.
Yeah, so you're correct. Developers confirmed that they are switching to Unreal Engine 5. And they say that this first project, Polaris, is going to take some more upfront work to actually get going. But once they have that foundation set, then they can just start pumping out these games every couple of years. So yeah, that is exciting. Obviously, Unreal Engine 5 by itself is exciting to see some Witcher games on.
Yeah.
But the fact that
it's Unreal.
But the fact that we're not going to have any shortage of Witcher games for at least, it sounds like, the next 10 years, that's pretty cool. Like, at least 4 games that we know. So this trilogy plus 1 standalone game.
Do we have any ideas about what this other game is with the third-party
None whatsoever.
Or what kind of platform it's going to be on or anything like that?
They did not even announce what studio is actually working on it. They're actually keeping it completely secret. I guess it's like super early development.
I gotcha. I was just wondering, what if it just comes out to be like a mobile game for your phone? And it's just
someone in an office wrote something down on a napkin, and a boss at CD Projekt said, "No, man, that looks great. We're gonna work on that."
It's a ring,
So,
for children.
So the only thing we do know is, so it's not. It doesn't sound like a mobile game. Don't quote me on that. But this article says an unconfirmed third developer is creating another, and I quote, full-fledged Witcher game. So that does sound like a AAA title.
That does not sound like a mobile app. Okay.
And it's not coming out until after this first one because they will be resource sharing. So the primary studio is going to, kind of like how Fallout 3 came out and then they let another studio do Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
But they let them use all the resources they had created.
And it was so much better.
Yeah. Don't be salty. Fallout 3 was still really
good.
I
loved it. No, Fallout New Vegas was great.
But yeah, so like that was the idea, is CD Projekt proper will create this first Witcher game. Once it's far enough along, it will ship all the resources over to this unnamed third-party studio.
Gotcha.
So that they can use those resources that has a consistent visual language, consistent control platform, consistent everything. It's just another studio is going to make another game.
Yeah, so the other thing that they talked about is that Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a sequel.
Prequel. I saw prequel.
Where'd you get prequel from? CD Projekt Red has announced a Cyberpunk 2077 sequel codenamed Project Orion. The developer tweeted its long-term development plan Tuesday. Sure. Sharing that Project Orion.
we're just gonna correct you all night.
We'll take the Cyberpunk franchise further and continuing harnessing the potential of this dark future universe. So I wanted to talk about this because isn't it kind of daring to make a sequel to this game after the tragedy that was the first game?
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
And like nowadays, it seems like the game is in pretty good condition, and they've been releasing actual content updates too. It's like there's new things to play on it, and it seems like people are actually going back to play it. They've actually had recent spikes and players returning to the game.
Yeah, it's been the most played game on Steam and what's the other one?
Epic. Yeah,
Epic. Yeah, numerous times over the past couple of months. So like clearly people are going back to it.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the sequel is not necessarily a bad idea, but
you just have to make up for a lot of bad faith. Yeah.
At this point, they have to under promise and over deliver hard.
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean, it's worth pointing out that on PC it was not a broken product, and I think people have to remember that every time a video game studio is building a game, they're building it on PC. And then it is ported and edited and adjusted to run on consoles. That's where they messed up. And I think that was because they were very much building it for a modern PC. And again, not trying to start a fight, but consoles don't measure up to PCs. They just don't, even the new ones.
Well, even it was just a quality control failure. Like, they just
that's what I'm saying.
Bother to check the PlayStation version of the game. Like, come on, guys. You're a huge company. Surely someone played these games on last gen consoles and could have told you, hey, maybe we should not release these games on last gen consoles.
Well, that's what a bunch of the people who've been brave enough to anonymously talk were saying, is that they were telling them that these games were not playable.
Yeah.
On the older, they released it anyway.
I was wrong. It is a sequel, and I
you have to leave that in.
Yeah, that's staying in. Thank you, Jason, for confirming what I was reading already from this. Yeah.
Well, no. It's more about the apology, and I'm sorry.
Your apology is accepted. All right, let's
thank you, good sir.
That's CD Projekt Red. That's all of our video game news for today. Let's move on to something that we've wanted to talk about for a couple of months now, but we've just been waiting to see how it plays out. So things have come full circle now. Elon Musk has officially re-agreed to buy Twitter for $44 billion, averting the trial that they were going to because he originally backed out of his original deal. So, Josh, I know you had some original thoughts about this and what his plan was and everything. Do you still have those thoughts? What you got?
Generally speaking, I do feel like Elon Musk is a force for good in the universe. That's not to say he hasn't
chaotic good.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I would agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
But he's a net positive, I would say. And I do think that what he wants to do with Twitter, again, is overall positive. So I'm on board with it. I do think it's pretty hilarious that I'm sure his consultants told him that, like, when this goes to court, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And since punitive damages are almost always percentage based, punitive damages on $40 billion would be a lot. Yeah. So just go ahead and buy the thing. You said you wanted to buy it. Just do it.
And it's pocket change for you anyway.
So yeah, that's the funny thing is that it kind of blew my mind to actually understand all this. But despite the fact that he is technically the richest person in the world, he doesn't actually have that much cash on hand.
No, it's all invested in his companies. Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually has to take out loans and things from multiple sources to actually afford to purchase Twitter at this price tag.
Yeah. Which again,
so they got to liquidate his assets.
Yeah. So he's actually very cash poor.
Yeah.
Which is
and
kind of
funny.
And
he does that on purpose. Like, he's very proud of the fact that he's cash poor because he wants you to know that he's reinvesting in his own businesses. Like, he believes that much in his businesses. And I just think it is interesting that the richest man in the world has to get a loan to buy it. But that's because we've talked briefly about this before. His wealth is speculative.
Yeah.
Tesla is not actually worth what Tesla is worth. But everyone believes,
period.
Yeah, everyone believes in the promise of Tesla.
Yeah.
Everyone believes in the promise of what is his rocket ship company?
SpaceX.
Or Starlink for the satellite, for his
everyone believes in Starlink.
Yeah.
I was reading a report that Starlink is actually the most physically profitable endeavor that he's had so far as something that is actually generating wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Starlink, which makes sense. So, like I said, I'm okay with this. Overall, I'm a Musk fan. And overall, I do believe that Twitter is a dumpster fire. So I'm on board with someone coming in and trying to clean it up. So we'll see.
See, I love Twitter, which is why this story interests me so much. So we all have our preferred platforms, right? Which I kind of hate. I miss the good old days where we all just had MySpace and that was the place. I don't like that we have so many options now because it kind of... Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So my preferred platform nowadays is Twitter. I love Twitter. It's where I spend most of my social media time.
The tweets.
And honestly, Twitter, from how I've filtered the accounts and things I follow, it's actually not a dumpster fire. I actually follow very specific accounts. It's all just catered to me, which is actually what I like about Twitter. It's actually very easy to cater your content. So I follow like my Lego accounts and my video game accounts and my nerdy accounts and my Atlanta Braves accounts. And that's it. I don't follow any random accounts. So that's why I like Twitter. So I'm actually very cautious about what this means for the future of Twitter, because if Elon ruins my Twitter, I'm getting off the internet. I'm done. If you take my Twitter away from me, I'm done.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, and I guess would need to find another person for Eat Sleep Nerd. Because
touche.
Internet.
All right.
I mean, I'll support you because you're my friend, but I would rather you didn't.
All right. I want to hit this one last story because I know, Jason, you have been talking up these action figures. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
2 new sets of action figures were announced over the weekend. This first one is Indiana Jones. A whole new set of Hasbro Indiana Jones figures were announced at PulseCon 2022. They are the 6-inch scale Indiana Jones figures, celebrating the 40-year history of the franchise. Is there anything you have to say about these? They look pretty freaking cool.
They do, and that's kind of why I was interested in them. They're kind of packaged like the Black Series for Star Wars because it's by the same company, and the detail is pretty good. And you can do, you can set them up in iconic poses and whatever else. Action figures have just gotten better in general since I was buying them back, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had all the money in the world, I'd buy tons of action figures, but it's just not one of those things I can.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. Whatever, right? Anyway, these are all from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they're really nicely detailed, and I think they're about like $20, so that's not bad.
Yeah, they're not available for purchase yet. They are coming soon, but available for
$25
in places like Amazon. Yeah, all of them are $25 except for one of them, which is $15, and another one that's $50. So yeah, these look pretty cool. But we also have some other action figures that were announced.
Yeah,
the McFarlane Toys DC Comics Batman Bat Family multi-pack.
Yeah, and I shared that with you guys for Josh because he's a huge Batman fan. So they look kind of neat. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I'm excited. I am more of like a Hot Toys kind of guy. I like the big
I get
format,
that. Right.
But these are cool though. Like I'd check them out.
The Hot Toys are fun and amazingly detailed and amazingly expensive. I like these because there's
a entry level. Yeah.
Well, this is the entry level, first floor, Hasbro. But they're relatively. They look like they're relatively good quality for their price. And, they're probably fine to play with if you want to play with the action figures, but they definitely look like they're nice to put on display too. And that's kind of what picks my attention.
Yeah, I miss the days of of playing with action figures, like actually playing with them.
You're right.
Like the G.I. Joe, like I loved, like Josh and I, we did a lot of playing together. Like we played with Legos and video games and stuff. But I remember playing with like the G.I. Joe, like 12-inch action figures. That was so much fun.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, seeing these
the big ones.
Like actually, I guess even the 6-inch Star Wars action figures, we had tons of those. I loved getting those new ones. Like going down to the local Kmart, picking up some Star Wars action figures. Those were fun times. So yeah, seeing these newly detailed Indiana Jones and Batman action figures, it brings back some memories.
Yeah. I love looking at these toys. Like if I'm in Walmart, I'll go go down the action figure aisle from time to time just to see what's out. I don't buy so much of that stuff anymore, but it is fun to see. So I saw these articles and I'm like, I want to share this with the guys. And here we are talking about it. So I'm glad I did.
You're welcome. All right, let's get into our reviews and speculation and discussion and recap segment with a twist. So we have decided recently that we just got too much to watch. We have had 4 ongoing shows that we have been trying to recap and review on a weekly basis. Plus, we keep throwing in occasional random things like Werewolf by Night this past week. And we realized that our conversation was struggling. We were focusing on the wrong things. The conversation was not flowing the way we want. So we're scaling back our conversation a little bit to only talk about the things that we're actually geeking out about on a weekly basis. And this is maybe just temporary while we have so many things to watch. We're still watching all the things, but we just won't be talking about them on every episode. But as these shows end, we'll pick up the discussion in more detail. But on this episode specifically, we will be talking about She-Hulk episode 8 and House of the Dragon episode 7. And I want to touch very quickly on MCU's new Werewolf by Night special. So that means we're not talking about the new episode of Star Wars Andor this week, and we're not talking about the new episodes of The Rings of Power this week. But with The Rings of Power ending next week, its first season, we will be all reviewing as a whole The Rings of Power season 1. And eventually we'll be getting back into Star Wars Andor, but stay tuned for that. So I want to quickly talk about my impressions of Werewolf by Night. And I know that you guys have not watched it yet, Jason and Josh. So I'm not gonna put any spoilers in here at all. I just want to give my initial impressions. So it was definitely as advertised. It was a very accurate callback to the classic monster movies, like the ones that you picture in your head, like the black and white Monster of the Week movies and specials and stuff. It was exactly that. The entire thing was in black and white, except for a couple of things. Even the way they redid the intro, like the Marvel Studios intro tag, that was actually redone to feel like a classic monster movie. So the feel of it is very cool. But I was actually bored like the entire time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like it's a 55-minute long special. It's so right underneath an hour. And I was bored for like a good first half hour. It kind of picked up after that once the action kind of started to kick in, but yeah, super bored. And like I was intrigued. Like I was like, oh, this is the introduction of the monsters into the MCU. Like that's by itself a pretty cool thing.
Sure.
And it definitely picked up story-wise at the end. But I think the reason I was bored is because this is the first time I'm seeing these characters and they're not really doing that much. But there is one thing that I think will carry heavily into the MCU. I keep saying MCU. I'm not sure why. Carry into the MCU. But I'll wait to discuss that until you guys have seen it.
Okay.
So Kevin Feige, before this came out, said this is actually going to be very important to the future of the MCU. He didn't really say why. And I think I know what it is. But aside from that one thing, it seems like a very standalone thing. Maybe it'll lead to some monster appearances later in the MCU. But overall, pretty standalone thing. If you know what that one thing is, honestly, in my opinion, you can skip it. But if you like the classic monster movies, hey, it's a good time. It's a monster movie with a Marvel twist. So by itself, a cool idea. Really well done. Like it is a really well done special. Like it definitely deserves all of the 5-star ratings and things. Just not for me. But I'm sure a lot of people will like it. So for right now, I'm actually going to give it a 3 out of 5, but I think you guys actually might score it a little bit higher.
Okay.
But that's my take. We'll get a full around the table review once you guys get a chance to watch it.
Definitely.
So I want to get into She-Hulk episode 8. And She-Hulk was very close to the chopping block for us, I think, if you guys would agree with that, where we were close to maybe not talking about this one and instead maybe talking about the Rings of Power. Because I know, especially Josh, you were iffy on the show for a while, but it's been picking up for you. But we finally, in my opinion, got the episode that we have been begging for multiple reasons. Obviously, we had Daredevil. Spoilers, if you have not gotten that yet. Spoilers, huge spoilers for this show. We finally got Daredevil and She-Hulk that has been promised for literally months now. Guys, we got Daredevil. What are you thinking about this? He's back.
It's about damn time.
He does not seem like the exact same Daredevil to me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not call him the exact.
He's definitely more quippy, but honestly, even the original take on the character was he had jokes. It's like that doesn't really seem different to me.
No, I mean it's a tonal shift.
It really is.
I mean, you could tell.
I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I kind of figured this was going to happen just after everything that we've seen over the past few weeks and months, and it's just, I mean, I'm sure at some point they'll officially say it, but this is clearly an alternate universe, multiverse sort of thing.
See, I don't get that vibe yet.
I 100% do. Same thing with Kingpin. And it goes beyond just his personality. His athletic abilities and everything like that grossly exceed what he had in the Netflix version.
Like his biggest up on that, yeah.
His biggest thing in the Netflix version was the ability to accept an extraordinary amount of punishment. Like that was basically his biggest superpower. In this version, I mean, like the acrobatics were next level, like what you would have seen in the comic books.
Maybe that's why I was okay with it, because it felt more comic booky to me. So maybe that's why
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not complaining about it, but I am saying I do not think it is the same Daredevil that we had.
It's not, and I'm still trying to figure out if it is going to be like, maybe we've had how many years between 2019 was the last episode of Daredevil?
Oh, I thought it was even before that.
Yeah, so it's
been
a while,
3 or 4 years.
So I wonder if there's been maybe the tonal shift is just because of his life experience between then and now. You know, maybe that's explained. You know, and if that's how they want to treat it, I can definitely go for that. But he's not the brooding, dark, subdued personality that we're used to, and that's for certain.
Well, so I will say, we meet him pretty early in the show in this episode in lawyer form, so he is just Matt Murdock
in lawyer form. Transform.
And that part, especially that
mouth of liberty.
That felt like the exact same Matt Murdock. It was the lawyer that we knew from the original show.
Yes, I'll give you that. The lawyer was
yeah. So when we first saw him in costume on I guess it was the parking deck, where Josh was saying the acrobatics felt a little bit more lighthearted than we're used to. That's where he started cracking more jokes, which is where I picked up on, okay, this could be different, but also maybe, like Jason is saying, maybe his just life experience has made him a little bit more lighthearted. But when She-Hulk smashes him into the car and she's talking to him and she asks who he is, he's like, I'm Daredevil. And first of all, he's kind of like taken aback that she doesn't really know who he is. Right. So that kind of hints that he's been around for a while, which makes me kind of think this is the same one, because he does have more experience now. So like he's surprised that people don't know who he is. But also when he's saying that, did you guys hear that it actually was the theme song from the original Netflix show that was playing behind him saying that?
No, I didn't. But
it was the theme song from the Daredevil show.
I'll have to check that out again.
Which kind of makes me think, why would they use that theme song if this was not the same character? So yeah, overall, I liked Daredevil. I'm glad he was here.
It was an enjoyable episode, certainly.
I think an important thing was that back in lawyer form in the courtroom as Matt Murdock, he said something that is actually pretty significant to the MCU as a whole. He said, for the first time that we know of, that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed.
Right.
Correct.
Which is the first we really heard about that. So for those that are not familiar, those are the accords that were put into effect during Captain America's Civil War, which is what divided the Avengers, which is why they were not together at the start of Infinity War, because being a superhero was essentially made illegal.
Unless you agreed to do it on the government's terms.
Right. Yeah. And so what this has done then is allowed superhumans to exist without registering.
Yeah,
correct.
Now.
And I'm kind of thinking it doesn't really make clear when this happened, but I'm kind of thinking it was like post-blip. More specifically, I think it probably happened post-Endgame, where everyone realized, the Avengers actually saved the universe.
Yeah.
So I think after that, they were like, okay.
And they did it without government sanction.
Yeah.
Specifically, the head of the quote-unquote terrorist team that we said was not allowed to be superheroes anymore specifically saved the universe and put everything back the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah. All right. So that's Daredevil. Let's actually talk about She-Hulk. So I love her chemistry with Daredevil.
Yeah, I'm for it. I ship them.
I ship it. Yeah, I'm with you there, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think She-Hulk really came into her own in this episode. And I think that was really helped by her chemistry with Daredevil. Like, she was put right next to another superhero and she really meshed well with that. She did a lot of She-Hulk smashing, but she still kept the same humor that we're used to so far in the series. So yeah, I really liked She-Hulk in this episode.
Yeah, though that last part where she actually, I think for the first time, got a real sense of what anger does to a Hulk.
Yeah, actual
hero.
Anger. Yeah.
I think she was losing control. Yeah, like actual. I mean, not that she wasn't angry before, but this was just in combustible, immediate anger that she could not control.
Yes, we finally got the conflict that Josh has been asking for.
So this episode both did exactly what I think would have made the writing a lot better, and then right at the end finished it by continuing to do what I thought was weak in the first place. The best parts of the episode were what I have been arguing they should have done the entire time. Instead of trying to make it a show all about Jen and how she doesn't need to fit in with that world and everything like that, holy crap, it would have been a lot better if you just dropped her into the superhero world and made it a story about her trying to learn how to fit into that. Because the best parts of this were when she was trying to be a superhero and interacting with other superheroes. It's literally what we've been waiting for the entire season.
And I agree with that, but also I think that's just us wanting a superhero show, which I think is not what this is wanting to be.
Right.
Okay, but it's part of the largest superhero franchise on the planet. Next point.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think, yes, that's why I agree with you. Is that
Next point, their big nefarious plan finally came together and paid off, and it was a slut shaming.
Right. I was pissed for her. Like, I had not felt any strong emotion for this show until then. I was angry.
No, I mean, yes, that's bad. But we're used to a certain level of stakes. And again, her big penultimate throwdown was she got slut shamed.
Right. Yeah. Back to the same problems that we've been talking about before.
What was that?
Bechdel test?
Bechdel test. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right back to that.
Like, I mean, and I've been thinking about this because I wanted to be able to intelligently try to say what I'm feeling. If you think about some of the best written female action heroes, because let's be real, that's what this is. It's an action movie, right? Mm-hmm. It's an action TV show. Or at least that's the genre that it exists in. If you gender swap them, the story still would have been interesting. Right? So like Ellen Ripley, the fact that she is a woman adds a level of interest to it. But if you made her a man, the story would essentially have been unchanged. Their gender has nothing to do with it.
Mm.
Yeah.
What was her? Oh, Sarah Connor in The Terminator. Just as easily could have made that story about John Connor's dad, and the story itself doesn't change. We tried to make the story around her gender, and I don't disagree with that as like a fundamental point. But then as Jason has pointed out, the story that you chose to tell me is about the most two-dimensional story you possibly could have done. It was getting so good, and then that was the big bad plan.
Yeah, I feel like the Intelligentsia hijack at the gala could have been anything else. Like all of the pieces were there. Like She-Hulk, something triggering her to be Mad Hulk. Mm-hmm. Intelligentsia, the super villain group, doing something to control her. That's fine. But yeah, like you guys are saying, why did all of that have to center around her cell phone leaks and stuff like that? Like that, yeah.
Now, admittedly, that what happened to her, I would say, being a white male, this is a huge guess. But my guess is that this is actually a huge fear that women have when they allow themselves to become vulnerable in those ways to another person. And this is like, and I can imagine what happened to her, the slut shaming and airing all of her personal business in front of the whole world is something that women are constantly vigilant of. And so please understand that when we're talking about this, we're not diminishing how horrible that act was. Just maybe it could have been maybe something different.
At least handled better story wise.
Or handled better. Yeah.
I mean, it's just again, it comes back to stakes. If we were talking about any other genre, I don't think it would matter. But like when Iron Man came out, he was stopping worldwide illegal weapons distribution. He was stopping terrorism.
But he also had an ego that allowed him to get to that point really quick.
Well, even taking Josh's point, actually, picking back off of that, even the smaller scale comedic movies in the Marvel Universe, like Ant-Man, right out the gate, he's stopping this technology that in the wrong hands could
That's a good point.
Lead to ultimate destruction. So
you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I'm saying this from a point of, I wanted her to have big, important stakes. And again, what happened to her is a violation. And I'm not saying that that's okay. It's not. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of superhero-dom, it feels like it fell short.
Why this choice? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to say on a much more positive note is that, I think last time or the time before, I've questioned on whether or not, I'm a target audience for this show. And maybe that's like I'm having problems with it. So I was talking with my niece, my 13-year-old niece yesterday, and I asked her if she had watched She-Hulk this past week, and she's like, yes. She loves She-Hulk. She loves the character, and it's the first, she likes the Marvel universe, but it's the first character that she's liked as an individual character.
Sure.
So hearing that, I'm like, okay, this is important because there's still girls and women who are not identifying with 20, how many movies now and how many series, and it's finally her first one that she's finally like, oh, I love this character. So
like it's please don't misinterpret. I'm enjoying the show, and I think this was one of the best episodes they've had so far.
All right, so that is She-Hulk episode 8. A lot to discuss. We have one episode left of that airing this week, so on our episode 28, we will be reviewing and recapping and scoring the entire first season of She-Hulk. But now let's get into House of the Dragon episode 7. Yet again, a whole lot has been happening with House of the Dragon in the past few episodes. But in episode 7, we start with a very somber funeral scene for Daemon's deceased wife.
Yeah.
And it started off with a pretty lengthy, it felt like 15, 20-minute long scene where just all of these actors are exchanging really awkward glances across the courtyard. I loved it. And apparently coming in the making of the episode, yet again, it plays after the credits. They actually mentioned that when they filmed that scene, it was actually one of the first scenes they filmed with the new set of actors playing the older characters, which is why it felt so naturally awkward. It's because none of those actors actually acted together before. So
they didn't know what they were doing.
I like it.
Yeah. So what were your big takeaways from this episode, guys?
So much. What?
No, you're right. There's a lot. There's it's amazing how much they can pack into an hour. It feels longer. Not in a bad way.
No, I mean the biggest one obviously would be Rhaenyra and old Daemon.
Daemon, yeah.
Finally getting together on the officials.
Is it weird? I guess it's just really good writing. But is it weird?
Just stop that sentence right there.
We're wanting them to hook up.
We're totally good with it.
Yeah.
We're totally on board.
Like the writing has been so convincing, and the acting has been so convincing that we were shipping this incest.
Yeah, we're totes on board.
I would say that it's not surprising, and we kind of, the fact that it happened is moving the story forward. That's what George R.R. Martin does. It is. Yeah.
Now, it's worth noting that this is the first time that this show has greatly deviated from the source material, though. In the source material, her husband does not survive. He really is killed.
Instead of going off on a boat after he cut his lustrous white locks.
Yeah. So that now whether or not that's going to come back to bite them later, we're going to have to find out.
That's what I was thinking. Like, there's no way it just wraps up that nicely. Like, someone's going to realize, maybe even next season, did you know that her husband was still alive? And then he ends up dying, and it causes some other kind of mess. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely don't think that's the last we're going to see of him.
Yeah. Or it could be like the one of the few times where somebody actually gets a break and gets away, and we'll never see them again.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
The kids taking what's his face's eye.
Oh yeah.
Where were the adults? Like, that was an extended period of time where these kids are like trying to murder each other.
Well, I think
that's what Viserys wants to know.
Well, that's the thing, is that nobody was doing their job at the time. That's
like, aren't there guards outside of their doors? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, there was that initial interaction where Rhaenyra's kids basically take out the eye of the queen's. I don't remember their names.
It's either Aemon or Aegon, but I don't remember.
It was Aegon. Yeah.
No. Aegon didn't get
Someone lost an eye.
Yes, that is an accurate statement.
The king's son lost an eye, and that led to back inside the castle. Prince. Yeah, sure. That led back into the scene where all of the adults are finally there to gather the kids together to figure out what happened. And it leads to a very tense situation between Rhaenyra, the queen, and the king. And Daemon's off there in the sidelines until the very end, where there was like that setup with the camera where it shows like this one team over here with the other team over there. And that kind of seems like it was like foreshadowing, like, this is going to be this side, this is going to be this side when the battle heats up. It's going to be Daemon and Rhaenyra against the queen and the people behind them. So that's, that was pretty cool.
It definitely was an intense episode, as in like you're at a family gathering and nobody's getting along intense. And it was very rough.
The Thanksgiving from hell.
Yeah. Where everybody's on edge and nobody knows what they can. Who should they talk to? What should they not say to some people? It was. They did the family gathering quite well. Yeah.
But for real though, the queen calling for them to yank out one of the little kid's eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Come on. Like that's. She's going to be the one that starts it, man. She's going to be the one that kicks it off.
Is that you kind of wondered if they were going to do it, if they were going to take the eye.
Yeah, like she clearly lost it, and no one was stopping her from getting what she wanted.
Yeah.
Even the king was kind of like half-assing it, like, no, don't do that.
He's always been half-assing it. I mean,
the dude has no spine.
It's like Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. It's like, no, wait, don't, stop.
Oh, no. Please
hurt yourself.
don't.
Oh, no. Yeah. Like, no. Yeah. And so this is actually kind of the catalyst that forces Rhaenyra and Daemon to get married, is because she realized that her sons were in danger if it kept going like this.
Yeah. Any other takeaways from this episode, guys?
Just it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
I was worried like 3 episodes ago because it had kind of a little dip there. But no, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So far, I would say I like it better than the original Game of Thrones.
I know I do, which is I think why I fell off with the original Game of Thrones. It just didn't keep me watching, but this one has kept me watching. Like, I'm actually watching the night it comes out, which is not something I ever do for shows. So, yeah, this one's good.
I find it, like, I'm enjoying the show and the series, but I find it emotionally exhausting to watch each episode because nobody is good. Like, they're all ultimately pieces of crap.
They're all varying levels of miscreant.
Yeah, varying levels. Yeah, like
so they're all the opposite of Jason. Yeah.
Stop. But thank you. I appreciate it. Very kind. I mean, but everybody, if they're not like straight up evil, they're manipulative. If they're, even the kids are just like little spoiled brats that, that taunt and hurt each other. And it's just, there's nobody that's, anyway, it's just exhausting for me. That's all. But it's a good series. It's just, I'm like, when I'm done watching the episode, I'm like, okay, bed. I'm just tired. I can't do it anymore.
All right. So if you guys have not figured it out yet, we are not actually going to be continuing scoring these on an episode basis. Sorry. This might be yet again temporary. We're trying to keep the conversation moving, and it feels kind of weird to rate them after every single episode if we know that there are still things to come.
If it's serial. If it's episodic, that'd be different. But these are serial.
Yeah, exactly. So
5 incestuous marriages out of 5.
So Josh is continuing to score it. Okay. So
he was just waiting to say that. He'd been working on that.
We'll let Josh score it every episode. How about that? Just so we can keep
he can't do everything.
I'm just going to score everything.
He's like,
episodes,
Josh was right.
News stories.
And I score. And then I do the intro. And then,
Jason, you can have things too. Like being a good person. That is your thing.
I don't want to have to ask for these. I want to be offered. But, if I shouldn't have to ask.
It's my name on the door.
All right. So that wraps us up for this episode. We hope you guys like the new format. We will be eventually maybe reverting back to our scoring every episode and talking about every show we're watching.
It's not a huge deviation.
Maybe not. We might like this. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yes, on next week's episode, we will be wrapping up and reviewing the full seasons of She-Hulk and the Rings of Power. We will be continuing this discussion of House of the Dragon.
Continuing the dragon.
And we might be getting back into Star Wars Andor. I think Josh and Jason will be talking about Werewolf by Night. And don't forget, in 2 weeks, we will be talking about the new Black Adam movie. Hopefully,
the Black Adam.
Talking about Superman at the same time.
Superman.
That will be our episode 29. So look out 29. For that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good number. I don't know.
Is it? I think 30 would be an even better number, but okay. Whatever.
Feel good about it.
It's always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Don't forget to share this show.
Share it.
I don't know how else to say it.
This is what you do, and this is what my nieces do when they want to show you a video, and they're like, "Uncle Jason, you want to watch?" I'm like, "No, not really. It's really funny." Okay, and then they show you. So what you do is you go to your friends. You're like, "Hey, friend, do you want to listen to this whole podcast?" And be like, "No, not really, but it's really, really good. But no, listen to it." And then you make them listen to it, and they're gonna love it. Just saying.
Okay, hey, friend, you have 2 hours. Come here.
Oh gosh.
And that wraps us up.
You don't have a quote for this, do you?
You told me no more quotes. I said last week would be the last quote.
I don't remember that, but okay. So
don't gaslight me. Don't you do it.
We would have let you keep doing this if you'd done it. Oh well.
I was like, oh, this would be a good outro. Oh, I'm not doing it anymore. So I didn't write it down. Now I
think you made up that decision. I don't think we ever came to that conclusion, but okay.
Yeah, I don't recall saying.
I'm a ham bone. I like doing extra stuff. I would love to do an extra quote at the end. I enjoy it.
You can have 3 or 4 of them.
Do you got a quote?
And now I'm worried about our relationship. I mean, can I trust you anymore? I mean, always trying to make me double check myself. And
I don't even know who you are.
Jason, right. Do you got a quote? We need a quote, Jason. The music's almost over, Jason.
No. 2 possibilities exist. Either we're alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying.
Take it easy, people.